In my opinion, if you want to make more money reselling online, the true secret is finding better items. And to find those better items, you have to know what you're looking for. And that's what we're going to do today is we're jumping into my eBay and Poshmark sales from the month of March and showing you every single item that sold for $40 or more, so you know what to pick up when you're at the thrift store, flea market, garage sale, wherever you're outsourcing, so you're not leaving those nice profit items behind. Let's jump into my screen, go over a few numbers really quick, and then I'll get right to the items. All right, as you can see right here, for the month of March, we did just under $11,000 in sales, which is a little bit down. I'm still ramping back up from having a baby and taking some time off, so I'm not too worried about my overall sales numbers right now because it's enough to keep milk in the fridge and keep the babies happy. But we are working on getting that number up going forward. We did 272 sales. My average sales price was just over $40. Once again, you can see that number's coming down just because we're entering the spring and summer months, so there's less of those high ticket, high dollar items that are selling. Moving over to Poshmark, you can see we did $2,500 in sales, which is actually pretty good because I only did $1,600 in February when I was taking that time off. So it was nice to bounce back with a little bit extra on Poshmark. Now let's jump into the items. All right, first up, we have a Patagonia jacket. I'm sure if you're a reseller, you know to be on the lookout for Patagonia jackets. This one was called the Nano Air Full Zip. Was a really nice model, but it kind of had flaws and damage all over it. You can see even right here in the main picture. I put read in the title because it was not in perfect condition, but some items are just so good that you can even sell with flaws for good money. And this would be a good example of that. I'd be happy to pay 20 bucks for this model of Patagonia jacket in, any condition other than having major rips or tears. Next up is this 10,000 midweight tech jacket. I picked this up from, I think, TJ Maxx online for, 23 or 27 bucks a piece. I bought a few of these. This is a really good, techie sportswear brand. This is what their inside tag looks like. Poshmark makes the photo quality not ideal, so it's hard to see there. You're looking for this little X kind of Target looking logo. That's their logo. Great brand to be on the lookout for. This one's new at tag, so I'm not surprised it sold really well. Some jacket sales are still trickling in. This was a Brooks Brothers bomber jacket with the packable hood, sold for 60 bucks. Brooks Brothers outerwear is one of the things I'm always picking up in that brand. Really good seller for me consistently. And here we have a Bonobos blazer. Bonobos blazers used to be a major bolo. They still are good, and there are some models that sell really well. This is one of them that does sell really well. Here's the logo. This was a standard fit, and I think this one sold for a little bit more money because it did have this nice plaid design on there, but at a typical thrift price, I'm picking up any Bonobos blazer still. A lot of people always ask me how I ship out my blazers, and I honestly just put them in a poly bag like almost every single other item. Somebody buying a blazer is most likely aware that they're gonna need to get that steamed or pressed, or sometimes if it's a knit blazer like this Bonobos blazer, it doesn't even need that. It can just come out of the bag folded and just hang, and the wrinkles will fall right out. But I do ship all my items that go in poly bags in GyroPack poly mailers. So if you want a great deal from a great company on some poly mailers, use my code. I'll pop it up on the screen right here or the link in the description below. They've been a long time sponsor of the channel, so it helps me out if you use my code. And I hope it helps you out with that little discount. We'll get to the next item. Next up is probably a shocker for some people. These are Gap jeans that sold for $53. They sold for so much because they are selvage denim. If you see these little white and red stripes inside the hem on your denim, that is what selvage looks like, and that is a very desirable type of denim in pretty much every brand that's going to be adding value. So even Gap can sell for really good money. These had a nice raw look to them, and they also were made with Kayahara Japanese denim. Once again, Poshmark, the video or the photo quality is just not great, but that's what it says here. Kayahara Japanese selvage denim. Very desirable Japanese denim, selvage denim, both things people are looking for, all combined into one. Great item here. Here we have some Hoka Aura recovery slides. I picked these up for 19 bucks. I can't say where I get them because I have gotten a ton of them. I don't want the market to get flooded on me. But nice to sell these for 50 bucks after only paying 19. It's not huge margins, but Hoka always sells really fast and really well, and I was buying these in bulk, so nice little flip there. Another pair of shoes here with these Brooks Ghost 16s. The Ghost line from Brooks is a really good line to be on the lookout for. These were in new condition and sold for over 100 bucks. Picked these up from the Dick's warehouse sale on Black Friday for I think around $50-ish. This next one is a total sleeper brand in my opinion. This is a Uniqlo jacket. They called this the utility short blouson. I've never heard of a jacket called a blouson before, but it is a Japanese company with a lot of Japanese inspired styles, which is one of the reasons why it sells so well, because Japanese fashion is usually ahead of American fashion. So fashion forward people in America are typically looking for these models. This was actually a really cool, just like kind of a chore coat mixed with a bomber jacket. Really cool style in my opinion. Definitely something I would rock if it was in my size. But definitely be looking for those more unique Uniqlo pieces. Here's a little bit of a close-up on the tag. You can see the logo right there, but once again, the photo quality on Posh is not going to let you see. Okay, this is a better picture of it. This is the logo that you're looking for. Here you have a blazer. This is from Ermenegildo Zegna. This was the Traveler model. It was a wool silk blend, which is why it sold for pretty good money of 68 bucks. Let's show you guys that tag really quick. This is the tag, Ermenegildo Zegna Traveler Wool and Silk, made in Italy. Really nice, more menswear, formal wear kind of brand. Really cool when you can find this for a good price. Some new inbox Timberland boots. This is that classic Timberland boot look. I picked this up in an eBay store buyout where I paid $8 per unit. So really happy to move this quickly for 70. I don't really know about the used Timberland boot market. I've had good success picking them up retail arbitrage and online arbitrage in new condition and flipping them. But I definitely want to check those sell-through rates if I was picking it up used. Another Uniqlo item and another Japanese selvage denim pair of jeans. You can see the little selvage line right here. Sometimes it will also have it on the front pocket, which is a way that you can figure out that it's selvage without looking inside the hem of every single pair of jeans. Once you find it a few times, you'll kind of get the feel for what the denim feels like, or the brands that carry selvage denim, and so you'll know to look inside the hem there. The regular Uniqlo selvage jeans sell for about 25 to 30 bucks typically, but this Uniqlo Japan, and this is what the back patch looks like. These ones sell for more money. So I was able to get 50 bucks for these ones because it's an elevated line of their selvage denim. And those jeans actually sold in a bundle with these selvage denim jeans. These are a Naked and Famous Dragon Ball Z collab. The model is called the Perfect Easy Guy, Japanese selvage. So many keywords, hard to even know what to put into the title here. But you can see Naked and Famous Dragon Ball Z. Has the green like inside on the selvage denim. Just a lot of really cool features. If you're a fan of high-end denim and you're a fan of Dragon Ball Z, these are totally made for you. Ended up taking an offer of $150 on these. My mom actually found these at the thrift store when we were out thrifting together, so shout out to the mom. All right, now we're popping over to the eBay sales. This is going to be the bulk of the items. More items for me sell on eBay. This is an Under Armour playoff polo. The reason this sold for so much money is because of this logo right here, the US Open Winged Foot Golf Club. If you see this little logo, that adds money to any item really. And just that basic Under Armour polo sold for 40 bucks right there because of that logo. This is a great model of Under Armour like athletic pants to be on the lookout for. It's called the Sport Style Elite Cargo. Whereas most of the Under Armour joggers and athletic pants would sell for like maybe 20 bucks on a good day, maybe 25 if you're lucky, or in a good size. But these sell really fast for 35, or you can list for 45 and hold out for between 40 and 45 bucks. If you're not sure if you have them, you can go to this little style code right here behind the material tag, type in Under Armour 1306461 into Google, and that will tell you what the model name is. And if it's Sports Style Elite Cargo, then you're in luck. Here we have a Polo Ralph Lauren bi-swing jacket with that kind of microfibery texture outside with the plaid lining. Nice vintage tag here, good size of size large, nice condition. Sold this at the end of season, so wasn't able to get 40 bucks for it. I was getting 60 bucks for this in peak season, so happy to still move that for a nice profit. Another item from the eBay store buyout I mentioned on the Timberland boots, these Adidas Samoa sneakers, sold for 40 bucks plus shipping. Got a few pairs of these and was happy to just move them quickly. It's not like the most amazing style of Adidas, so once again, happy to move them pretty fast for 40 bucks. I got to include this one on the video because my Cavs are currently the #1 seed in the Eastern Conference and making it past the first round in the playoffs. We have some Cleveland Cavaliers Jordan shorts. These were from the engineered line and had a +2 length. Engineered line, if you find it with this Authentics tag, is basically an elevated line that is more like, I don't know if this is technically player issued, but it's more like what the players would actually wear on the court or at a practice or something like that. So it sells for a little bit more money because people want to be like the players that they're watching on TV. So this basic pair of shorts sold for 40 bucks. Here we have some Nike like windbreaker pants. These had a really cool swoosh design that goes like across the front. So I figured these ones would be pretty good. I looked at the style code. They were really just called the Woven Giant Swoosh Track Jogger. Got that in my title. Made a nice profile picture here that shows that swoosh going through it. And I listed these really high because they're unique. There was none in this colorway available. I think I listed for 50 bucks and took an offer for 40 bucks. Next up is a 686 vest. This is what the tag and the logo looks like. This one had a ton of technical features, thermal, smarty, waterproof, all that good stuff. This is what the spell out logo looks like. It's nice that vests are still selling because it's kind of not quite a jacket. So as the weather's just warming up a bit, still able to use a vest for a little bit longer. Got that sold for 40 bucks at the end of the season. And you'll see a lot of probably jacket sales on here that sold for, honestly a good price for what they are, but I'm just happy to move them before having to hold them all the way until the fall. Next up is this Peter Millar Hyperlight Camo Quilted Performance Vest. You guys know I love selling Peter Millar outerwear. Pretty much any Peter Millar outerwear is an automatic pickup in my book. Especially in a blue camo print. Honestly surprised that only sold for 40. I probably just took a quick offer to get that sold really fast. Here we have some Converse Chuck Taylors. These were the Tech Tough High brown camo model. They sold for 41 bucks. I picked these up for I think 8 bucks a piece or maybe 10 bucks a piece on a Cyber Monday sale that was called out in the Bread and Butter group. They had a crazy sale and I bought as many as I could without the site crashing, and this is one of those pairs. And yeah, because I got them so cheap, I was able to price them really competitive and sell them pretty fast. Here we have another Peter Millar piece of outerwear. This one was size large. This one did have a New Jersey State Golf Association, so not like a super great logo on there, one that hurt the value, but it still was able to sell for $42. This one was called the Merge Hybrid Quilted Jacket. Next up are some Memphis Grizzly sweatpants. I had a really nice logo here on the front. These are NBA standard issue, which is kind of like the engineered line where it's a little bit higher end than a typical Nike item. They were new at tags. This was from that eBay store buyout as well, sold for just over 40 bucks. Peter Millar Perth Performance Quarter Zip. These solid colored quarter zips in the performance material from Peter Millar are called the Perth Performance. And this little flag here was from the West Hampton Country Club. That technically did add a little bit of value, so I listed this one higher at 50 bucks. I usually sell them for about 40 bucks. But I got a quick offer for 40 bucks and decided to just take it because you guys know I love moving those items quick. This is a fun one. I paid 15 bucks for this at the thrift store. It was kind of a gamble. The sales data was kind of iffy, but I took a chance on it anyway because I thought it was a fun item. This is an XFL jersey in new condition from Dwayne Johnson. He's one of the owners or founders or faces, I don't really know, of the XFL, so he had his own jersey made. The team here is also called the San Antonio Brahmas. Anyway, that's probably a lot of useless information because it's a very obscure item to come across, but in new condition, it still sold for 42 bucks, which is a nice quick profit for me. Speaking of random football, if you made it this far in the video, put a football emoji in your comment or comment a football emoji down below so I know that you made it this far into the video. Let's keep it rolling. Been doing a lot more lots lately, especially with summer items because they typically have a lower sales price. I'm trying to keep my sales price high by lotting some items together. This is 2 Redvinley. Here's the tag for you. Geometric golf polos. They sold together for 45 bucks. Next up is a Patagonia jacket. This had like a brewery logo on the sleeve and on the chest, so definitely hurt the value, but it was part of the H2No line on Patagonia, which definitely helped the value because it's waterproof, a very high-end line of their jackets. This was women's size large, and the model name is the Torrential rain jacket. Another cool jacket. Once again, I'm selling these like probably a little bit under the true market for these items because I wanted to get them sold before I had to hold them for the entire spring and summer. This is an Eddie Bauer shooting jacket because you see the shooting pads right here. Some cool little pockets that you could throw whatever you need to in there if you're out at the range. Did have some marks all across the front. So once again, I'm happy to give somebody a great deal at 42 bucks on that definitely unique Eddie Bauer jacket. Here we have some Nike basketball shoes. These are the Precision 11s in men's size 10. Really good size on these. Nice classic black and white colorway. Another one from that eBay store buyout. So happy to let it go for a good deal of 47 bucks. All the prices in here, by the way, are plus shipping. The buyer pays shipping on all my items. Next up, we have some True Religion jeans. When you see True Religion jeans, you're looking for this flat pocket with this embroidery on the back pocket. That's kind of the iconic look that you're going for when you're picking up True Religion jeans. So I'm happy to pay up if it has that look. If you find like skinny jeans or ones without the flat pocket or without that embroidery, you're gonna have a harder time getting a premium, and they're gonna take longer to sell. So I was happy to get these with those extra features, and they sold for 45 bucks really fast. It looks like I listed that for 50 and it sold on an automatic offer of 10% off. So typically when I see $44.96, I know that was something I listed for 50 and it sold for that 10% off offer. The 10% off offer goes out automatically with the software Nifty.ai. They're formerly known as Autoposher. They do cross listing. They do automation on my eBay store. They do automation on my Poshmark closet. It's made me a ton of money since I started using it just under a year ago. Can't recommend them enough. If you do want to try cross-listing, or you do want to try using some automation on your eBay store or your Poshmark closet, definitely use my code CalebSells or the link in the description for a free trial and a discount on your first month. Here's another lot. I mentioned I've been lotting a lot of things up. I picked these all up for $2 a piece. So I have $6 into these Tyndale FR shirts. Let's see if I can get a close-up of the tag here. I guess this is the closest up of the tag that I put. Tyndale FR. It's not one of the better flame-resistant companies, but it does okay. Altogether sold for 45, so 6 into 45. Definitely not going to complain about that. Here's another one that I sold a little bit less than probably what I could have gotten if I waited for the right buyer to come along. This was a vintage LL Bean bomber jacket, but it had the really cool chore pockets with a leather collar. A lot of really cool keywords. If this was fall or winter, I would have priced this thing crazy high and waited because unique vintage LL Bean always sells super well for me. This is what the tag looked like. It wasn't a super old tag. It was made in Portugal, which I do think probably elevated the value a little bit. Ended up letting it go for 45 bucks once again, just to not hold it all the way through the off season. We have a FootJoy jacket. This was the hybrid quilted sweater. That's what they called it because it has like this puffer material and then like a sweater material. It also has the Players logo. I think this is the Players Championship logo, which probably helped the value as well. And that sold for 45 bucks. These are some Polo Ralph Lauren jeans. They were new at the tags. Sold for 50 bucks. Probably could have held out for a little bit more, but once again, I love accepting an offer to get a fast sale. Not the best size of 40 by 32, but it was a nice dark wash. And Hampton Relaxed Straight is a pretty decent cut as well. Even in used condition, were probably like $25 to $30 jeans. They sold for 50 in new condition. Here we have a Peter Millar polo that sold for $50 because of a few specific things. I'm going to let you guys know what those are real quick. It has this all over skull print, which definitely increased the value, and because it's geometric print, that increases the value, but skulls are particularly increased value, especially in Peter Millar. And it also had this lighthouse logo, which is for the Harbor Town Golf Links, which is a very prestigious course. Those two things combined, I thought I listed it really high at 50, and this thing sold super fast for full price, so probably could have gotten even a little bit more for it. Newitag's Brooks Brothers is one of my sleepers on eBay. This is called a popover shirt when it has these buttons that go halfway down. And this was Newitag's, retail price of $100, really good size of 2XL, and was able to get that sold for $50. I think if you can get 50% or even more than 50% of the retail value on a new item on eBay, that is typically really good. Only very, very good brands you can get more than 50% of retail value on the secondhand market, even if your item's new. So I would say Brooks Brothers is a pretty strong secondhand market in new condition. Next up, we have a Fjallraven Kanken. I don't know how you say that. Tote pack, mini shoulder backpack. The thing that made this one extra special is it was made with the G1000 fabric. Let me find it. Okay, here it is. It has this little G-1000 logo on there. That is an elevated fabric, and it's very desirable for outdoorsy people. So if you put G1000 and you have G1000 on the item and you put that in your title, you're going to get more money. A lot of these were selling for under $30, but because I knew about that little feature, I listed mine for $50. And somebody sent me an offer of $47.45, which I obviously took right away because that's like a very good offer for a $50 listing. This did have some discoloration on the bottom as well, and it still sold for that $47 price. Newitag's Lululemon would be a no-brainer at the thrift store at a typical thrift price. This was no exception. It sold for $50. This was called the Dry Sense short sleeve t-shirt. Retail price of $78, and it sold for $50 on eBay. So that makes sense. Brooks Brothers was 50% of retail value. Lululemon was maybe like 60 to 70% of the retail value because Lululemon's a stronger brand than Brooks Brothers, which I would agree with. So my math is checking out. Here we have a Levi's denim jacket. I thought this one was super cool with the hood and the Sherpa lining. I just really liked the wash and the hood being actual denim, because a lot of Levi's denim jackets with a hood have like a sweatshirt hood or a different material for the hood. So I just thought this one was really cool. Once again, accepted an offer to get it sold quick of $42. Here we have a vintage Burberry blazer. It had a very like subtle window pane plaid on it, which is why I think it sold for $47. Typically these are kind of slower sellers. You would think Burberry is like super popular and super hot, but these vintage blazers are relatively common these days and typically sell for between $30 and $40 for me. I listed this one a little bit higher because of that really subtle plaid and got the $47 sale there. This jacket sold extremely fast, probably underpriced it a little bit, but I keep saying the same thing over and over again, so this is the last time I'm going to say it. I priced my jackets to sell because I knew that the winter was ending. So I still got this thing sold super fast in like a day. But this was the Primaloft Packaway model. This is a really good model of LL Bean jacket to be on the lookout for. It's like super lightweight. If you know Patagonia jackets, it feels kind of like the Nano Puff, where it's like super lightweight, yet it still is insulated. What I do to find that out is I just go to this little number here and I go to Google, I type in LL Bean 509020, and that's how I find out the model name for my LL Bean jackets. Sold it super fast for $50. Motorcycle riding apparel is a super great seller. This brand was called Bullet, and you can see it kind of has this mesh lining on there. And I think right here it says that it's reinforced with Kevlar. Oh, Kovek. Yeah, reinforced with Kovek. So I put Kovek in the title. That protective apparel for riding always sells super well, so definitely always be looking it up if it looks like it's some sort of motorcycle or motocross or anything along those lines. Used condition sold for $50. Some used diesel jeans sold for $50 as well. I loved the dark wash on these. Super dark wash is always a really good seller in my opinion, and black denim is always a super good seller in my opinion. The model name was called Safado. Slim Straight, which is not even like a super in style cut right now, but diesel jeans just for some reason always fly out of my store. So Safado, regular Slim Straight, $50 sale because of that nice crispy dark wash in my opinion. Another $50 sale with the Tommy Bahama Island Zone golf polos. The model name is called the Palm Coast Polo. Island Zone is a great keyword. These are very performance-y shirts from Tommy Bahama and a great size of 2XLT. This thing had so many things going for it. So I listed these actually pretty high at 60 bucks for the pair and got an offer for 50 and decided to pull the trigger. Zero restriction outerwear can be super good, especially if it's Gore-Tex. If you see zero restriction and Gore-Tex and it's outerwear, it's probably going to be pretty good. Another thing that added value to this is it was from the Tour series. So this is what the tag looks like and what the logo looks like. And Tour series is another thing that added value. So all those things working together. This is a very high quality jacket. Sold for 51 bucks. All right, here we have another lot. These are U510. It stands for under 5'10". These are items that are made for shorter people. The model name was called the Mason Omni Stretch. And you can see here that it had a 28-inch inseam. And I even put the wrong picture for the first picture. I meant to put this picture for the first picture so they could see that there was two of them. And it still, I was able to sell these really fast, the pair of them for 50 bucks. This is a little sleeper bolo. I learned this from Surf's Up Fine, so shout out to him on YouTube and all the other platforms. This was a vented microfiber Boy Scout shirt. If you find a Boy Scout shirt where it says 100% polyester, and then it has these little vents on the back, they stopped making that model of Boy Scout uniform. And it's really nice in the summer when it's super hot and you want that vented kind of like fishing shirt style. So people are going on eBay to find it so they can wear it when they're out doing their scouting things. Or maybe it's a someone that's in charge of their kids out at the scout thing and they want to not be roasting in the cotton uniforms. This one is a little bit more breathable. If you can find it without any patches whatsoever, they do sell for a little bit more because this one only had the flag one and the number, which they could replace that with their own number. I did list this one really high and a good size of size large. I listed it high for 60 and well, I don't know what I listed for, probably 70 or 75. Got an offer for 60 and took it. Save the Duck ultralight puffer jacket. This is something I'm probably going to be hesitating on picking up until the fall because these are a little bit slower sellers. They used to sell super fast, but it was size 2XL ultralight jacket, Save the Duck. Once again, a better winter brand than a summer brand, but I'm not going to complain about a $61 sale. These are women's Ultra shoes, and these are in used condition. They still sold for, I think, $52. These were the Outroad 2 in the wide width. So those are things... the wide width is adding a little bit of value, and the Outroad 2 is a very recent model from Ultra. And this is what they look like. You can see here it says W right here for wide, and actually sold for 57 bucks. I picked up these Converse Chuck Taylors on that same Cyber Monday sale. I did have to pay a little bit more for these, like 27 bucks, I think. But these knee-high Chuck Taylors, they're folded over here. They go really high like that. The knee-high Chuck Taylors have been a bolo on eBay for a super long time. If you find them in used condition, but in a good colorway, they can still sell for crazy money. They have came down a bit now that Converse is, manufacturing a lot more of them. But I was able to get 60 bucks in new condition and, almost double my money there, which, still happy with that. Next up is a Mountain Hardwear puffer vest. This was a down puffer vest. I bought this off the Mountain Hardwear website, I think for 30 or 35 bucks. I sold it for 70 plus shipping. Once again, I'm happy to accept an aggressive offer. I think I had this listed for like 100, but accept an aggressive offer because the season is changing. Here's another new Brooks Brothers item. This was called the corduroy shirt jacket, a really good size of 2XL here. And it didn't have the retail price. I'm guessing this one would have had a pretty expensive retail price, being that they were calling it a shirt jacket. But either way, a really nice piece. It also has the logo there. And this sold for 67 bucks plus shipping. Here we have some vintage military pants. These are OG 107s with the nice patch pockets on the front in that classic green colorway. Button fly. Had this little thing here. I'm not sure what that meant. But somebody took the pants and altered them to be way smaller fit than what the tag was reading. So they fit 30-30, which actually is a super good size for a vintage military item, or like vintage Levi's or anything like super vintage. 30-30 would be a great size. So even though it was kind of like a homemade alteration job, I still think that actually helped my value a little bit because it made it a very marketable size of 30-30, and it sold for 77 bucks plus shipping. I think I talked about this in one of my recent videos, but we'll hit it again here. If you see Uniqlo shorts with the logo on the outside here, these are tennis shorts made really famous by Roger Federer, who is one of the, arguable goats of tennis. And the designer here is whatever that word is. But anyway, this particular model sells for really crazy money. There was none of this colorway listed, so listed mine high at 90 bucks, and they sold really fast. So some basic athletic shorts that sold for 90 bucks. Definitely something to be on the lookout for, especially now that we're in the summer season. Scotty Vest is an amazing brand. This is what the logo looks like. If you find this brand, pick it up. This is called the 101 vest. Did find it new with tags. This is my second time finding this vest in new with tags condition, which is pretty crazy. They're known for making travel wear, so it has tons of pockets, tons of features for if you're traveling or flying to make your life a little bit easier. Sold for 95 bucks. Here we have another pair of boots from that eBay store buyout. Like I said, $8 per pair. These are Wolverine boots. I would have never have looked these up if I was out sourcing. So now I'm glad that I know for the future. They're called the Raider DuraShock by Wolverine, and they sold for 85 bucks. So now I know if I'm out sourcing that this can be a little bit of a sleeper brand there. I picked up these Asics sneakers at a Kohl's clearance event. They sold for 52 bucks. I picked them up because they were very like modern, trendy, in style, color, and classic look from Asics. To me, this gives very like preppy tennis vibes, which, is very in style right now in the fashion world. And I think my prediction was correct because they sold super fast for 52 bucks. I think I paid $22.50 for those. Here's another pair from the Dick's warehouse sale. I paid, once again, I think around $50-ish for these. These are Nike React Wild Horse 8. Really cool pair of shoes, honestly. If I, wore trail shoes, I'd probably be rocking something like this. Men's size 11 sold for $101, and they did go through the authenticity program. Here we have some Volcom pants. These were Gore-Tex. You can see right here because of that little tag. They had a lot of really cool techie features. When I looked them up, they had like some crazy comps on there. So I listed mine high at 150, and I got an offer for $100, 99 bucks. And I took it. Once again, I was heading out of the season, and I wanted to make sure I didn't have to hold this for a whole nother season. So happy to move those for $100. Nice little underrated Bolo Volcom Gore-Tex ski snowboard pants. Here we have another pickup from the Dick's warehouse sale. These are Keen Zionic Mid waterproof hiking boots. Really cool boot shoe kind of looking thing here. Keen is a pretty decent brand. I don't really know what sells great in this brand anymore. I used to when I sold a lot more shoes, but in new condition, they can still definitely be a heavy hitter. Got 109 for them. I think I paid like only 27 bucks for these. So this was one of my best flips from that Dick's warehouse sale. I think you saw these in my last month of great sales from eBay, but I sold my last two pairs of these Ultra Boost 1.0s. In the women's sizing. I really loved this colorway. I knew that it would sell super fast. This is from the eBay buyout, so $8 a piece on these. So 16 bucks because I sold two pair to the same person for 150 bucks. So let's say 16 bucks into 150, definitely a slam dunk deal. All right, my second best sale is this lot of 6 Amazon Fire tablets. I found these at the Kohl's clearance event for $10 a piece. So I paid 60 bucks for these. I had 6 of these exact same things. I actually took this picture in my car in the Kohl's parking lot, got them listed right away, and I sold the $60 worth, so 6 of them, for $210 to somebody that messaged me about, getting a bulk deal on these. And my best sale, I can't remember if I talked about these in last month's video or not, because these were actually purchased and then returned. And then when I got them back, I listed them higher than I had sold them for previously, and they sold for even more money. I sold these for 200 bucks. These are Levi's Supreme collabs. They're 501s with the selvage denim, made in USA. Just a really cool, unique pair of jeans. You can see the Supreme tag right here. with the button fly. I took a ton of pictures of the inside just so people could see that they were authentic, which they were, and got these sold for $200. I hope these banger eBay sales will help you the next time you're outsourcing. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe down below, and we'll see you guys in the next one.